Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Right to Adversity podcast. I'm your host, Kwaku. Subscribe to this channel, and if you indeed love this video, like and share it. Today, my goal is to give you an update of what I've been up to. In the very first episode, I mentioned that my goal is to do two things, and I quit my job because of these two things. So, one, start a clothing business, a bespoke clothing business. So we do kaftans, suits, and blazers. The second is to start a podcast. The goal of the podcast was to record my journey as I do the clothing business, and also to dissect the lives of people who have lived great lives, who have achieved great things. So that was the goal. My goal now is to give you an update of what has been happening. It's been 4 months so far, so I want you to know what has been going on. Let me start with the podcast. For the podcast, I haven't been posting. I haven't been consistent. But I've repented. Now I'll be posting every day. This is a business, so I have to treat it as a business with all the seriousness it deserves. And I make sure to post on the various social media platforms, make the posts refined. I also have to present the channel on the various platforms so that it looks serious. I'll be working on that. So to the business, which is the clothing business, I've been taking the business more seriously. Perhaps it's because I can see the results quicker. But that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be an excuse. So, for the business, my main preoccupation right now is to get clients. This is something I'm building from ground up. Though I've worked in clothing retail for a long time, I don't have pre-existing clients. I didn't think it's right to call clients from my previous workplace to pitch them what I'm doing now. To be honest, I spoke to one person, and I spoke to him because he is huge. He is a big person. He's very big. And when it comes to our place, he wasn't getting the suit size he wanted. And he loves to wear suits. But we didn't have a size at my former place. So that's the only reason why I tried to interest him. I've broken down the various items I want to talk about on the pressing needs of the business. So these are the items. There are 4. Okay, so we have acquiring customers, being expert at how to measure, getting good tailors, and cash flow, making customers pay. So these are the issues I want to discuss. And there are so many stories I can share with you. Some of them are crazy. Maybe I'll share some of the crazy stories. As I decided to embark on this journey, I set my mind. I knew that the crazy stories will take place, they will happen. And in some sense, I'm expecting them. I'm expecting them to report to me. That's the whole point of the Right to Adversity podcast. So to the first item, which is getting customers. As I've already mentioned, I'm starting from zero. And I have to build a client base. As I was starting, what I did was to go through my contact list and make a list of people that I believe, people who I'm familiar with, that I know they wear suits, or I believe they would be interested in getting some suits. So I wrote their names down, texted all of them. Some of them responded. But I have to revisit that exercise. There were some people that told me to come fix them. I go measure them, but I don't hear from them again. I don't know why they called me to come measure them if they didn't want the suit. So I wasted my transport. But I understand, it's all part of the work. I know it's all part of the journey. As I have said initially, I focused on my contact list, which is not too huge. And my strategy on acquiring customers is was to visit offices and talk to workers. That means I'm looking at people who work, say, in banks, insurance companies, lawyers, and the like. When I started visiting offices, what I realized was that most offices, you go there and they tell you they're busy. Oftentimes, when you even meet people, you meet gatekeepers who are not the ideal clients. My ideal client would be someone who is middle class or higher middle income. But you go there, you meet the receptionist. No disrespect to receptionists. But what I'm selling isn't too expensive. It's not expensive, to be honest. But still, some workers would have to really think through before they make a decision to buy. For example, I'm selling suits for 2,000 cedis, and that's the costliest thing I sell. If someone else say 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, even 4,000, the person would have to think through the decision before he commits himself, because it would 2,000 cedis will take a large portion of the person's salary. And when I visit offices, even when I'm allowed in, these are the people I tend to meet. So I realized I had to adopt a new strategy. I've always believed that knowledge is emergent. And if I hadn't tried to acquire customers, I wouldn't have known the difficulty involved in acquiring the ideal clients. So I sat down and thought through what would be the best way I can filter the people I meet so I get my ideal crop of clients. I realized that the best thing to do would be to visit company car parks and to visit there very early in the morning before work starts for them. Most places, that, when I explain what my goal is, it wouldn't seem or it doesn't seem intrusive to them. Because I get there early. In fact, ideally, I build some rapport with them before I go visit in the morning. So I pass by the office on the normal hours, tell them this is what I do. I make bespoke suits, kaftans, and blazers that I want to pass by early in the morning. And I want to do that so that I won't disrupt their activities. And they are fine with it. I go there early, I spoke, can pack their cars, I talk to them, I get their contacts. The goal is to convince them to make orders. But the more important goal is to build a contact list. So as I get the list, I make great interesting content that's useful. And that is something I haven't been doing too well right now. Right now, what I send out are usually pictures on the street, the kaftans and the leaders, especially works that we've done. But a better thing to do, which I will do, will be to show people some combinations, some ensembles. In French, they say ensemble. So some ensemble they can make. So show them, say, what is the best time to wear a suit with a double vent? When you wear a single vent, or who wears a single vent? When is the best time to wear a double-breasted suit? Which lapel goes well with, say, a double-breasted suit? How do you pair, say, a check shirt with a paisley tie? How do you pair different kinds of patterns? These are all subjects that I can attack. And when I do content that is useful and share it with people, I'll be helping them. Also, when they have need of suits, kaftans, and blazers, I'll be top of mind. I'll be the person who will come into their heads because I would have built that virtual relationship with them. So that's the goal. And as I said, I'll work on that. Right now, things are okay. I have started acquiring some external clients. When I started, most of my clients were people I know. I've already mentioned it. And I was getting scared because people who know me, most of them, they just want me to do well. People external, they are the actual clients because they would have to see the need and make an order. The number of orders I've done, external and people I know, I would have made about the same number of orders. So we are now at a good place, and the orders are trooping in, though slowly. But I know things will be better with time. I don't expect a flood right now. And it's not been easy trying to get clients. If I'm to get clients, I have to leave the house very early. by say 5:30 a.m. I should leave the house. I have to be at the office I have in mind, say by 6:30. And this whole experience reinforces the Pareto principle. I'm saying this because for a long time I was visiting offices and not getting contacts, even among the people who are not my ideal clients. But when I visit car parks early in the morning, I get a lot of contact of people who qualify for what I'm doing. Pareto principle states that a few people are responsible for any great outcome. Let me use a specific example. Let's say there's a business. About 20% of workers will be responsible for 80% of the sales. In a country, about 20% of the residents will own about 80% of the resources. That's the logic. So we see the Pareto principle in several spheres. In my case, when I go to a place, when I go to a car park, there is a small window of time I can get my ideal client. That's between 6 and 8:30 a.m. All the other hours, I don't get qualifying clients. So I've tackled the first issue, the first item I wanted to talk about, acquiring clients. The second issue is getting good tailors. I don't sew myself. I've started to learn though, but sewing is a skill issue. It's a serious skill issue. And if I give merchandise to someone to sew for me, it's a risk. I'm taking a huge risk. Let me show you something. So I gave this tailor fabric to sew for me. See this. This is something I've never worn. The whole thing is just disastrous. So that's the crazy risk I have to take. So in some sense, to a large extent, this is a very risky business. I have to struggle to get clients. When I get the client, I have to get a tailor who can fulfill the order. And aside the skill, the tailor has to be someone who can fulfill the order on time. This is a common problem with Ghanaian tailors. They tell you that they will be done with your work at a certain time and they keep giving you different dates. There's a tailor that I got that I needed a suit made by him. And for about 2 weeks, this gentleman kept giving me stories until I spoke to someone else who knew him. In fact, that person had recommended him to me in a long time. So when I had need of an extra tailor, I went to him. The person that introduced me to the tailor mentioned that he had given that same tailor who had been delaying me for about 2 weeks fabric to make a suit for him, and it's been a month and the guy hadn't made it. And I thought there is no need for me to be in business with such a person. So I went to take the fabric, the lining and all, and give it to someone else. I got another tailor. In fact, this is the very first tailor I started working with. And he is good. When I started the business, I was focusing exclusively on suits. I've now added kaftans. But as I started working with him, he's always been trying to increase price. So now I barely give him orders. Because I can't plan around someone like that. Today you tell me X, tomorrow the price is Y. Next year will be X, Y plus Z. I mean, every single time he wants to increase price. Someone advised me that I take tailors off my WhatsApp status because when I post merchandise, I like to add prices. So he was saying that perhaps the tailor sees the price and things are making too much money or making a lot of money. But I'm not making too much money, not a lot of money. So given the person's advice, I decided to take all the tailors off my status. So when the person advised me, that I said, I told the person, see, my margins are low, so I don't see why the tailor would think I'm making a lot of money. Because the tailor, I have to factor in transportation, energy expended. I have to buy the fabric, and the fabric is expensive. And given the price that I sell bespoke suits, I don't think you get bespoke suits, quality bespoke suits at that price anywhere. So that's the second problem I have to solve. Right now, I'm at a good phase. I've got tailors who are pretty much reliable. Their prices are reasonable. So my model is I go to the tailor, I tell him, okay, ordinarily you charge this amount for sewing say a kaftan. Reduce it for me, and I'll get you a lot of orders. That's the deal. I go to the fabric maker and I do the same thing. But even with the fabric makers, I don't have to ask for a reduction because I'm buying in volume. Generally, the price is lower. So that's the model. And in the end, I'm able to give the customer a very reasonable price, great customer service, and the whole process is convenient. Because I come to you, I measure you, I go so, and I bring it to you. I believe that's the mode of the business. That's the business model invention, the convenience of it all. I'm thinking I should really hit that point because customers I've got so far love the idea. Most of them appear to not like going to tailors. In fact, there was a client that I had to alter the suit for. I wanted him to go to the tailor himself, and he didn't want to. He was against the idea. So I really like the model, though it's time consuming because I would have to travel as at now since I don't have a physical space myself, and this helps the model. When I started the business, a lot of people thought I was crazy because if you don't have a physical place, how can you start a clothing business? And this is bespoke. So it's not like something that you have standardized sizes that people can just order for. But the model appears to be working. I have to work hard and lean into it. Now I believe the model will work. All that is left is hard work. The third issue I've got to solve is measurement. I'm the one who is going out to measure clients. In fact, if I give clients access to tailors, I'll be losing out. Because then how does the person need me? I believe I'm still useful because I go to the market and I know places where I can get quality fabric at great prices. The tailor may or may not know. I've also worked in clothing retail for a while, so I'm able to judge good quality. I know when something is well sewn, I know when fabric is of good quality. So those are the plans on my side. Now I can also find clients, but this person has already been found. So I don't think this really applies. So still, it's not a great thing to give clients I've got access to the tailor. And that's the more reason why I have to take the measurements. And I have to measure right. And this exercise can be fraught with mistakes. If I make a mistake, the tailor will in turn make a mistake, and the customer will get something that he doesn't like. I can also measure right and give it to the tailor, and the tailor will make a mistake in translating my measurement onto the fabric. So that's another risk. I remember the first suit I got done for someone. I went to the person's house, I had done the measurements earlier. The suit was ready, finally. The person told me to bring it, only for me to take it to him. And the person just wasn't enthused. He appeared not to like it. With time, it grew on him. He was appearing to like it a bit, but the arm was slightly bigger. I had to take it back. And I remember going to the person's house, the fear. I kept asking myself, "Would this suit really fit me? Did I get the measurement right?" And as I've said, the whole process brought to so many problems. I would measure, I'll take it to the tailor, and he would tell me, the size I'm giving him, they are just not right. And he is the experienced person, and he knows what size is supposed to correspond with the size of another body part. For example, if a client has a particular waist size, you would assume that his chest size will lie in a certain range. When it's off, he's able to see that something is not right. So there were so many times he would keep insisting that something just wasn't right. And come on, will this thing work? So sometimes I have to describe, and I have to use descriptions, and we use ourselves as benchmark. Or maybe the person is slightly bigger than me, slightly smaller than me, in order to estimate the person's size after me measuring the person. So back to the story of the first find. So I take the jacket, and the jackets are difficult to adjust. So the adjustment is done. The arm is smaller, but I mean, the client still didn't appear to love it, and that was very heartbreaking. First word, and the client isn't excited. I thought it was beautiful, and I told him so. Or maybe I over promised, and his expectation was so high. So the client asked me if he was my first order. I told him no, I had done it for a few people. So I like. Well, technically, I didn't like because I had made one for myself. That's how come I was able to have faith that the tailor could do a good job. But I had to tell him that I couldn't let him have doubt. This reminds me of a story where a patient goes to the hospital for a surgery and he's worried. The doctor tells him not to worry at all, that they are on the same boat. The fact that it's his first time also carrying out the surgery. You don't want to do that. So please bear with me. Let this one pass. Now, I've gotten to a place where I'm pretty sure that I'm measuring right. Almost all others that I'm getting now, things are pretty right. So I'm confident. Confident. So that's the third problem I have to solve. On to the fourth problem, which is getting people to pay. When I started, I was telling people, no, I can make the suit. You don't have to pay me. No, because I was confident. I'm sure everything will go on well. So when I'm done, then pay me. Then that became a problem. As of now, I have a suit that someone made me make for him. It's been 4 months, and the person hasn't paid me. He hasn't even he hasn't even presented himself to fit it. So that's a loss. Not a loss per se, but that disrupts my entire business model. I don't have unlimited funds. In fact, I'm broke. I'm not earning a salary. So I'm living largely off my savings. And my money is locked up. I have another person, someone who isn't supposed to do this. I made a suit for him, and it's been 2 months. He hasn't paid me. He keeps giving me excuses. I don't want to divulge his name. And the crazy thing is, he tells me that he is on budget. After he told me to make the suit for him. You know, when I started working on his order, I called him. I was calling him and he wouldn't answer. And this is something I've noticed. When someone appears to be interested and I'm calling the person, trying to engage, and the person is pulling away, now I don't bother. I don't insist. I don't worry myself too much because it just means the person isn't ready. So when he started doing that, when I called him, he doesn't pick up. I should have seen that something wasn't right. But I thought, let me go ahead because he had told me he wanted 3 suits. And we agreed that we make one first, and when we are done and everything is fine, then we proceed on to the other 2. But I go to his house, he tries on the suit, he wears it, everything fits him perfectly. When he made the order, he actually asked if I was open to a payment plan. I told him no. I like to get my cash. So I make the suit for him. I go to his house, he fits, and I'm expecting my money. And he tells me, okay, you know what? I'll pay in 3 weeks. I don't have enough funds for me. I agree. I mean, what choice do I have? 3 weeks come. In fact, when I left his house, he sent me a message that he has had a discussion with his wife and he can't afford the suit and there's not in his budget, so he's going to return the suit. I'm like, you make me make a suit for you, a bespoke suit for you. This is a suit that is made just to your size, to your person. and you tell me you are returning it, and that it's not in your budget. If it's not in your budget, why do you make me go ahead? So I have a conversation with him, and we agree that he pays part of the money on a certain date, and the next month he pays the rest. It's been over 2 weeks after the day he promised that he'll make the first part payment. He hasn't given me a thing. So these are some of the difficulties I have to go through. I have come to the understanding that I have to let people pay, at least make half payments. The payments, I've realized, is a filter, because people who aren't serious won't commit themselves. Some people, when they hear that I'm making a suit for them, they like when they hear the idea of getting a suit, they like it. It's easy for them to tell me to make one for them because they are not putting any money down. I had a situation not too long ago. There's a client I've already made a suit for. The first one, I got everything done for him. But when I got it done for him, he made me come to him. He fitted. It appeared to fit him great. But he said no, he wanted to take his time and then try it at home. So I had to let him take the suit home, which is a risk. He took the suit home, tried it. Next day, he sends me the money. But just imagine if he took it home and he hadn't sent me the money. And he started telling me stories. And this has actually happened. There's someone else who I truly respect. I made 3 suits for him and a kaftan. He paid parts. He was owing me 2,600 cedis. And that was about half the amount of money the transaction was involved. And I had to chase him for about 2 weeks before he paid me my money, even though I had given him the suits. So I went to his house. He told me, "Oh, don't worry, I don't have enough cash on me. Next day at noon, I'll send you your money." For the rest of the week, I didn't hear from him. I kept calling him, I was texting him every single day. He wouldn't respond. And this is a business I've just started. So my cash is locked up. And as I've already mentioned, I'm not earning a salary. This is something I'm doing full time. How do I survive if I keep facing such situations? Now, back to the person I was talking about, the one I let take the suit home to try. Now he tells me he wants another suit. So I told him he has to make part payment. And it's been about 3 weeks. And he hasn't been able to commit himself. So just imagine if I had gone ahead and sold the suit for him, my money would be locked up. In fact, I called him. No, I didn't call him. I texted him a day after he told me he would make the commitment. He gave me a day that he made the commitment. When I texted him on that day, he said he's not around. He's in the UK. So if I had gone ahead to make the suit without taking the deposit from him, I would have called and he wouldn't be around. He'd be in the UK. He'll be chilling. He'll be on vacation. And until now, he hasn't made the half payments, as I've said. As I keep repeating. There's someone else that I've made 2 blazers for, and I faced the same situation. I made it for him, and it took about 2 months for him to fit it and pay. So he wanted me to make 2 for him. The agreement was that I make 1 for him. If first for fine, then we go ahead with the other one. When I sent the first one, he fitted him fine. He paid for that, and he paid for the next one, which is a good end to the story. But just see all the struggles I've gone through. My money locked up for about 2 months, where I won't be able to use that money for anything else. So now everyone has to make a commitment, unless I gauge that for whatever reason. I mean, every rule has exceptions. But for the most part, or for all parts, I'm taking deposits. So this is what has been happening so far. I'm guessing now you have a general idea about what has been happening in the business. And I'm happy where I am right now. What I'm left to do is to work hard, and that's what I like. So subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel so that at least you can get 1,000 followers and be able to monetize. Enjoy your day. Cheers.